So what does that mean to you to win that award?
What a question. Well, obviously it's a huge honor to be recognized by a magazine of the magnitude like Gramophone. So like that in itself, I think just stands alone. And also, I mean, I was always a pianist who, I mean, of course I want to be appreciated for how I play, but ultimately I also, more than that, want to be acknowledged for my thoughts and how I view a musical narrative, you know, things beyond not just mere playing. I don't mean mere playing, but playing. And so in the concept album category, I think this is into that, it means a lot to me because it's more than, you know, assembling, say, you know, repertoire from a certain category. It's actually fashioning a narrative throughout. And, you know, the idea that I had behind etudes and studying creativity and play, which kind of came out of the Debussy etudes, it was something that meant a lot to me. I'd been studying etudes since I entered Curtis. I had studied etudes from, you know, Chopin's first etudes all the way up until John Cage's very strange Etude Australe. And, you know, to be able to synthesize it into an album that's been recognized in this way, it kind of validates that the ideas that I've had are, you know, good. That makes sense.
There was something I observed when you're playing, because it is very technical. There's a technique, but you have a technical freedom. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. When I was studying piano first at Curtis, one of the most influential teachers I had there was a pianist named Meng Che Liu, who he had an amazing story. So he, right as he made his big break, he had this autoimmune disease called vasculitis, and basically he nearly died and was basically paralyzed, and his white blood cells ate this entire tendon in his right hand. He had a nail put in, and this is right as he got his big break. You know, he like you know, did this massive concert, and basically this is to say he, after recovering, taught himself how to play again. So to study technique with a person like that, there's so many concepts and ideas that he gave me that still, when I go to the piano, I still think a lot about. And actually, funny enough, his recording, he played through the Debussy etudes for me a very long time ago. And I think about that all the time. I thought about it a lot when I was thinking about how to play these etudes. And ultimately, I do things a little bit differently from him, but ultimately the approach that I have toward the piano is very much influenced by him. Yeah.
When did you decide that this is the road that you were going to take?
I have a bit of a funny story toward music in that when I was 18 and I decided where to study, I was deciding whether to go to like a humanities or like a more traditional university environment or a conservatoire. And I ultimately chose to go to university because for two reasons. One thing, I wanted to learn a lot, and I also wasn't ready to commit to being a pianist. And then I think after 3 or 4 years that I was telling myself, like, who am I kidding? I'm a pianist. I want to practice all the time. I don't actually want to, I had to pry myself away from the piano to study and do my exams. So, and then when I finally got to conservatory, it felt like there was a bit of catching up to do, but ultimately this is where I belonged. So, I mean, this is coming from somebody who's played for my entire life, right? Like, I had both the luxury and the paralysis of choice, right? Because I enjoyed school, but I also enjoyed playing the piano, and you know, my parents weren't musicians, so I didn't know what that looked like. And so now sitting on the other side of it, it's, you know, it all kind of feeds into the way. I mean, we all have our different ways of coming to the industry, and that's how I did.
So what would you say to a young person who's kind of maybe at that sort of crossroads like you were? Which way do I go? What do I do? What would you say to them?
If my father-in-law used to work in theater, and he used to say to young actors, like, if you can imagine doing anything else, do that. And I would say that also applies to classical music, because you really just have to feel like it is a calling. It takes a lot of grit, takes a lot of perseverance, takes first and foremost just like more practice than you could ever imagine. But if you're willing to do that, the rewards that you get are just, I mean, to get to play music all the time is like, I could not ask for anything else. And if that's how you see, like, if that's how you see what your life should be, then just be resourceful. Just try to make it work that way. Yeah.
And finally, what's next on the horizon for you?
So I'm on tour tomorrow. My first piano trio is actually being debuted in Providence, Rhode Island. We're touring it in the States. I have a Schubert album coming out in July next year. And I am, I'm playing recitals everywhere. And that's life. Yeah.